Hey everyone, I'm here today taking a look at the Master of the Universe Origins 2000X Whiplash from Mattel. And this is a deluxe size figure, so it's quite a bit bigger than a regular. The articulation is pretty standard. It's got a skirt here, but it's very, very thin, soft plastic, so it doesn't hinder the leg articulation. But the size of the legs hinders the leg articulation. The arm articulation is pretty good, really, for what you would expect. But with the legs, you know, they can go out to the side quite a bit there. But when trying to get them forward or backwards, that's about as far as it's going to go. And like I say, it's not actually the skirt getting in the way. It's just that the legs are so thick, the thighs are so thick, you can't really get them to go any further than that. Same with the knees. They bend backwards, but the general size means that they don't go back really any further than that at the knee. So, you know, you're getting that much bend and then you're not really going any further. So a little bit hindered, but it's not too bad, I don't think, for what you would want for a big figure like this. You know, there's a swivel as well there. The ankles are slightly hindered by this kind of ridge at the bottom of his boot there. So the feet only go a little bit forward and backwards. It's just a design, I guess, that's difficult to get a massive amount of articulation, but it's still enough that you can get his feet posed nicely. You just can't have them overly forward or backwards, but you know, they pivot to the sides and that as well. Tail just swivels around like that, and the tail is very easily detachable, which I mean, for storage this is handy, because otherwise the tail sticks out at the back there quite a lot. But I don't know, over time I'm worried about that getting loose, so I'd rather it clipped in better and then had a bit of articulation that made it bend kind of to the side like that. So if you need to store it, or even if you've got it on the shelf. I mean, at home where I have these figures standing at the minute, they're on a bookshelf right in front of the books, and there is not enough room for him to have the tail in. So I actually have to take this tail out when I have him on display on the edge of the shelf in front of the books. But like I say, I'd rather the tail kind of bent to the sides so that it would go like that or like that, if you see what I mean with that. But instead it just kind of swivels from side to side, and you know, it's got a waist swivel. The head articulation is very loose on mine. I might have to put a little bit of clear nail varnish on that. It's just a little bit too loose for my liking. I don't think it's really showing up so much on camera, but there is a line in the face where it's come out of the mould that I'm not too keen on. And also the eyes on mine are slightly wonky, but once again it doesn't seem to really show up too badly on camera. But it's got one eye that's looking up more, whereas the other eye is looking straight forward. And it always annoys me when figures have wonky eyes. But that line from the mould going up his face there is also a bit of an eyesore, really. It's a nice face sculpt, though. He doesn't come with any weapons, because he didn't use any weapons in the cartoon series. The original figure came with this kind of weird spear type thing. And obviously the original 80s toy had a spear. But I don't feel like Whiplash really needs one, because his tail is his weapon. It's got that tail design on his belt there, which is kind of the design for his people, the Caligarians. Got some nice shading on his knees, and then this kind of pale bit on his belly, and these bony protrusions around the chest, which I always thought looked really cool. It's kind of a standout for the 2000X Whiplash design. In general, I wasn't keen on Whiplash in the series. He and Clawful both pretty much had the same personality. They were just big dumb brutes, even though he and Clawful were actually two of the more intelligent evil warriors in formation. So he's a character that didn't really get much screen time or development other than a few fight scenes. And he always had the roar, the T-Rex roar from Jurassic Park, funnily enough. But he's got some paint apps on these bony protrusions on his shoulder where they're a darker green, but not on his elbow. They're just cast in the same green as his arms are. And small bony protrusions on his shoulders there, which are actually separate bits of plastic kind of sticking up through the mould. His tail in the cartoon actually wasn't as big as this on the end, the club bit. I don't mind that it's bigger here. Makes it look a bit more threatening, but in the cartoon it was actually smaller than that. You see the skirt's very short at the back to accommodate the tail as well. They could have made it a little bit longer either side of the tail, really. It kind of looks weird almost that it's so short, showing off his bum. And he's got these two bracelets, which are actually two separate bracelets. It's not the same design on each. Like, if they wanted to, they could have just given him the same bracelet on both wrists to cut down on tooling costs, and I don't know if anyone would have really noticed. But they've gone to the extra effort of giving him a unique mould on each one. This one here has the tail design on it, whereas this one has these kind of squared designs going around it. This is a big figure. The only figure bigger than him in the line is Roboto. He's a little bit shorter than him, but you can see compared to Beastman and Clawful here, he's quite a bit bigger. Clawful's too small. Clawful should have had a longer torso. He's a bit too squat here. So really, you know, if his torso was longer, Clawful should have really been up here like that. It's just a bit of an issue I have with Clawful. It kind of bugs me. But still, Whiplash here, big boy. Here's the original 2000X Whiplash toy, and this is one of the few examples where I do actually prefer the original toy design. I think characters like Whiplash and Clawful that have so much texture in their skin because they're scaly and reptilian, crabby looking creatures, it just works better for them to be more detailed like this rather than the smoother cartoony look, which I think looks better for most of the more humanoid characters. But you can see he's also got those bony protrusions on the chest there, which I just always thought was kind of a nice detail. Same kind of bony protrusions as well on his shoulders and that. Both got that same underbite, but that original Whiplash is a lot smaller than this new one. Both got that swirling tail design on the belt, which actually reminds me of the logo from Alien 3. But funnily enough, the original toy version does have the same bracelets on either side with the square design. Having one that's squared and one with the tail logo is actually a detail they changed for the cartoon. I appreciate that Mattel have kept it accurate like that. The cartoon version is a kind of lighter colour scheme, especially the skirt is very dark on the original toy compared to how light it was in the cartoon and on this figure. But another comparison I wanted to do is with the Master of the Universe Classics Ceratus. Because Classics are larger figures than Origins, he actually scales up really well with the new Origins figures. So if you've got that figure, or you can get hold of it on eBay, he actually fits in reasonably nicely. He's a bit more detailed than the cartoony looking Origins figures. You know, he's got all this scaling design here on his torso that isn't really the cartoony look. But I still think he blends quite well, and like I say, size-wise, they look perfect together. I don't mind Whiplash being slightly taller than Ceratus, because I think Whiplash was, even for his people, quite a big, burly guy. So I wonder if we'll ever get characters like Ceratus in the Origins line. I don't know if it will last long enough to get to more obscure characters like him and Dactus and Pravus. But it would be nice to see some non-vintage characters in the Origins 2000X line. And here he is with all the other evil warriors we've had from Origins 2000X so far. Just Trapjaw to get now, and we'll have that initial wave of evil warriors, and it will feel a bit more complete. And then obviously it's just, you know, Stinkor and Too Bad we need as well. We're even getting Webstore at some point in this wave with Whiplash, which is nice. Thanks for joining me for this look at the 2000X Master of the Universe Origins Whiplash. Really nice figure. The only gripe I have with him is that the leg articulation is a bit hindered, so it does limit somewhat the poses you can do with him. But with these big guys, they don't get into that extreme of a kind of poses anyway, because they in real life wouldn't be that flexible because they're so big. So in some ways it kind of mimics how he actually would be, but it still would have been nice to get his legs to move a little bit more than they do. So let me know what you think of this guy in the comments, and if you're going to pick him up. Thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.